I was reborn. I came back to life in the third year of my marriage with Pedro, which also happened to be the last year he ever loved me. Not long after, he met the true love of his life. For that woman, he was willing to go against the entire Tran family, pressure my parents, and ultimately destroy my family's company. He drove my parents to suicide, pushed my brother and sister to the edge of despair, and forced me to leap into the freezing sea with my unborn child. In this life, I will not fight anymore. I want nothing. I no longer want Pedro. All I ask is for the Tran family to live in peace. Chapter 1. The spring sunlight was as warm and gentle as a verse so soft that for a moment I almost forgot what it felt like against my skin. I looked at Pedro's sleeping face. He was young, handsome, and I had always loved the sharp line of his jaw. So sharp, like the ruthless methods he had once used against my family, the Trans. So cruel, so relentless, showing no regard for the past. Even when I was ready to sign the divorce papers and hand over the title of Mrs. Law to Julia, he didn't stop. He had to ruin every single member of the Tran family one by one only. Then could he believe no one would ever hurt his precious Julia, the woman he truly loved? You're awake. Why didn't you call me? I'll make you breakfast. Pedro barely opened his eyes, pulled me into his arms, and kissed my forehead softly. He always kissed me so tenderly. Even when we made love, he held back, careful not to hurt me. He always said he never wanted to cause me pain. But this same man who could be so gentle was the one who had once watched me run after his car, bleeding and broken, begging him to give the Tran family another chance. He hadn't stopped. He hadn't cared that I collapsed on the highway, that my head was bleeding, that the skin on my arms and legs was torn apart. You see, when he loves someone, his tenderness is endless. But when he doesn't, he is colder than a stranger. I'm not hungry. Pedro immediately sensed something was wrong. He sat up beside me, cupped my face in his hands, and asked gently, "What's wrong, my Isabel? Was I too much last night? Are you upset with me?" He teased lightly, his deep eyes filled only with me. Since the memories of my past life had come flooding back at dawn, I hadn't been able to sleep. Childhood friends who didn't realize how deep their bond truly was, a girl in her innocence brushing against the first beats of love. I had once thought I was destined to love only him. But not anymore. I no longer dare to love him. The price of loving him is far too high, and I cannot pay it again. I looked into his smiling eyes and said, word by word, "Let's get a divorce." Chapter 2. Pedro was still joking when he left for the office, convinced that last night he had lost control and been too rough, and that was why I was upset this morning, so I was teasing him with divorce talk. I sat alone at the dining table, staring at the breakfast he had so carefully prepared. The table was full, yet I had no appetite at all. Before, I would have eaten every last bite. Pedro cooked well as skill his mother, Mrs. Law, had nurtured in him since childhood, all with the intention that one day he could make me a different breakfast every morning. The Law family and the Tran family had been business partners for many years, and we were even neighbors. My mother and Mrs. Law had gone from constant rivals to inseparable confidants. Even when both were pregnant, they had joked about arranging a marriage between their children. But in the end, they agreed to leave it up to us. They would never force us. Pedro was 3 years older than me, and as the only son of the Law family, he was their treasure. When Mrs. Law was pregnant, she was kidnapped. My mother, without hesitation and risking her own life, saved her. From then on, Mrs. Law always felt guilty about the conflicts between them and never stopped apologizing. But my mother was straightforward and carefree. With a simple wave of her hand, she would say it was all in the past, that she had long let go of Mrs. Law's foolishness. That made Mrs. Law laugh, and from then on, the two only grew closer. Unlike Pedro, who grew up as an only child, I had an older brother, Lucas, and a sister, Roxana. They had always treated me like a princess. No matter where they were in the world, they always found a way to send me the very best. But even such wonderful people ended up meeting fates more tragic than the other. The most unpredictable thing in this world is the human heart. I will not allow those tragedies to happen again. Never. Chapter 3. When I returned home by car, it was already near noon. By that time, Father was surely at the office. Normally, only Mother would be at home. But, to my surprise, it wasn't Mother, it was my sister Roxana. At that hour, she was usually away on business trips around the world. Roxana rushed to me at once. Isabel, why did you come back so suddenly? Your sister missed you so much. Let me see, have you gained a little weight? You have dark circles. If something's bothering you, tell me everything, I'll handle it. Was it that bastard Pedro who did something to you? Don't be afraid, tell your sister, and I'll beat him up myself if I have to. Roxana was 5 years older than me, already a powerful woman in business, able to support Father with the company. I hugged her tightly, burying my face in her shoulder, so she wouldn't see the tears I could barely hold back. I've missed you too, sister. In my past life, the last time I saw her was in the morgue. She was lying there in that cold, dark place, and no one even dared to claim her body. Her body was covered in wounds. The worst of them all was a gaping hole in her chest. I don't know what she went through before she died. Her face was barely recognizable. If it hadn't been for the birthmark we had shared since childhood, I would never have known it was her, my Roxana. My sister, so beautiful, so confident, admired and desired by so many. And yet she had ended up like that, alone in such a cold, horrifying place. I will not accept it. Roxana deserves to stand at the top of the world, surrounded by respect and admiration. No. She cannot have that ending again. I pressed my lips tightly and held back my tears. Deep inside me, a firmer determination took root. Sister, in this life, no matter what happens, I will protect you. Chapter 4. Roxana probably thought I was delirious with a fever. She touched my forehead several times to make sure I was fine before finally relaxing. But those words clearly made her happy. She instantly posted them on her family group, her work chat, and all of her social media. As expected, everyone rushed to comment. Look at what my dear Isabel said. That she'll protect me forever. Do you have a sister like this? No, right? Well, I'm glad you're jealous. The comments poured in, and among them, one stood out. With a wolf avatar and the name Law, the message read. What do you mean yours? She's mine. My dear Isabel. That was Pedro's profile. When Roxana saw me staring silently at that comment, she let out a mocking laugh. Look at him, guarding his bone like someone's going to take it away. Uffed, he's definitely a dog. Roxana had never tolerated Pedro. Even as children, they had fought physically more than once, and the fights only stopped when I cried in fear. In the past, whenever Roxana called him a dog, I would get upset, even argue with her. But now I felt nothing. Seeing how happy she was after I told her I'd protect her forever, I decided to tell her directly that I wanted to divorce Pedro. She was shocked and asked me several times if I was serious. After all, she had seen me as a teenager, utterly obsessed with Pedro, talking about him every single day. She had been there through my student years, my courtship, and my marriage, all the years I had devoted to him. And now I was saying I wanted to end the love that had marked me since my youth. How could she not be surprised? Are you serious, Isabel? Roxana saw I wasn't joking. She gently caressed my face and said, All right. I don't know what happened, and I won't ask. But if this is your decision, then your sister will support you. I'll be with you. Chapter 5. Later, I learned that Father had accompanied Mother on a trip abroad, leaving all the company affairs temporarily in the hands of my brother and Roxana. After speaking with me, Roxana locked herself in her room and had a long call with our parents. I don't know exactly what they discussed, but when she came out, she looked visibly relieved. She came to me with a smile and said that Father and Mother already knew about my desire for a divorce. They would first speak with Pedro's parents and then handle the divorce procedures. But Mother also said that we were no longer children, and once a decision was made, it should not be reversed. I knew. No matter how impulsive or shocking my choice might seem to others, my family would support me unconditionally. They would take care of everything for me, stand behind me until the end. In my past life, I was the one who failed them. I am sorry for loving the wrong man and triggering that chain of tragedies. In this life, please, let me protect them. Give me the chance to repair what I once broke. As for Pedro, the bond between us ended in the previous life. When love turns into pain, you must let it go. The Isabel who loved Pedro drowned in the sea along with her unborn child. The Isabel of today loves only herself and her family. She cannot and will not dare to love anyone else again. Chapter 6. I called Pedro to tell him I wanted to stay for a while at my parents' house. At first, he disagreed. But after receiving a call from his own parents, he called me back, his voice filled with unease. Isabel, listen to me. Don't make decisions when you're upset, all right? You want to stay at your parents' house? Fine. Stay as long as you want, as much as you need. But please don't decide something so hastily. Let me talk to you in person. I don't know what I did wrong, but at least give me a chance to explain. Don't condemn me just like that, please. Isabel, are you listening? Even if you don't want to talk, just listen to me. I'll finish all my work today and we'll go out, have some fun, all right? I held the phone in my hand for a long time, without saying a word. Pedro kept speaking, I think, but I no longer heard anything. Suddenly, I remembered the time when it was me begging him like that. I had called him so many times. 10? 20? 100? In the end, I couldn't even remember anymore. But not once did he ever answer. I called from dawn until night fell, relentlessly. Finally, one of those countless calls was picked up. His voice came through, heavy with annoyance. What do you want? That day, I hadn't eaten a thing. I hadn't even drunk a sip of water. My throat was dry, raw, burning. Yet still, I tried, cleared my throat, and spoke humbly. Pedro, my father's company is in trouble. You know that, don't you? I know. It was me. Even though I had already suspected it, hearing it from his lips crushed me. I collapsed to the ground, drained of all strength, tears flooding down uncontrollably.
Why?
Why did you do this? My family never hurt you. They watched you grow up. Why did you have to? Enough. If you're going to talk about that, I'm hanging up. Should go back to sleep. It's nobody. Someone unimportant. His next words, spoken with such tenderness, were clearly not meant for me. And then I understood everything. Was it because someone from my family did something to Julia? I can explain really. It wasn't intentional. They only wanted to protect me. If you want revenge, take it out on me. I beg you. I've never asked you for anything, Pedro. Please, for the years we grew up together, don't destroy my father's company like this. Please, Pedro, are you there? Hello? Please don't hang up. I don't remember what else I said. I only remember that after that, the only response was the cold, repeating tone of a disconnected line. Not long after that call, everything changed, and my mother sent me a message telling me that she and father had already resolved everything, that I shouldn't worry. She told me to listen to my siblings, that I would always be her little princess, that the troubles of the world weren't mine to carry, and that she would be happy as long as I could live a carefree life. Something felt off, so that same night I went back to the Tran house. The lights were on as usual, but I didn't see Mother in the living room watching her dramas or Father with the financial news playing in the background, sneaking loving glances at her. They weren't there. I went upstairs. The door to their bedroom was wide open, but the room was empty. Still, the air was filled with a strange smell. Until that moment, I never knew a human body could bleed so much. They had protected me so well that I had grown stupidly so. There was so much blood. Father and Mother lay on the cold bathroom floor, holding hands. Blood covered every inch of the tiles. There wasn't a single place left to step without staining your feet red. With an empty expression, I watched people going in and out, collecting what remained of my parents. Someone spoke to me, but I was trapped in a bubble, staring at their moving lips without hearing a single word. When I finally came back to my senses, I realized the call was still ongoing. Pedro was still talking. It had been over an hour. In my mind, the bathroom scene replayed the impossible-to-forget tide of red. I let the phone slip from my hand, shattering against the floor with a dull crash. Chapter 7. I stayed home for a week, and Roxana was with me every single day. She didn't even go to the company. On the 8th day, father, mother, and my brother Lucas returned. The moment they stepped through the door, mother rushed over and wrapped me in a tight embrace. My precious girl, as long as you're back, that's all that matters. This will always be your safe haven. No matter if you're hurt or tired, all you need to do is look back, and you'll see your home is always here. We will always be here. Come home, daughter. Her warm, steady embrace broke me. I couldn't hold back any longer, and cried in her arms. I wanted to tell her no, it's not like that. Our home, you father Yuri, no longer here. You don't exist anymore. How can a place without you be called home? Through my tears, I saw Roxana at my side, watching me with concern and sadness. Father and Lucas sighed nearby. Lucas stepped forward and patted me on the back. TSK, my little sister is still so spoiled. So grown up already, yet you're still hiding in mom's arms crying. What a shame. Mother pretended to scold him and smacked him lightly. Your sister is sad, and all you can do is tease her. Of course, Roxana took the chance to stir things up even more. That's right, brother. With that caveman attitude, no wonder you're still single. You deserve it. Mom hit him again. Mother didn't hold back and ended up smacking them both. Those two serious, dignified executives in the company were now being beaten by their own mother at home, yelping like children. The scene was so ridiculous, I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Lucas rubbed his backside.
Mom.
Now that you've finally made her laugh, can you stop hitting me? Maybe your hand doesn't hurt, but my butt sure does. Do you even realize your age? Can't you at least keep some dignity in front of your two sisters? Mother scolded him with that mix of annoyance and affection. Enough. Don't tease her anymore. Your mother just recovered from an illness. Stop making such a fuss. Father, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. The moment he did, the two of them froze instantly. They truly respected him. Mom was sick. When? What happened? I turned to her, worried. She hugged me and shot father a reproachful look. Didn't I tell you not to tell her? Stroking my hair, she spoke to me gently. Don't listen to your father. I'm fine. It was just a small illness, a few 4 drips, and I recovered. Roxana, seeing my concern, added, after I talked to Mom on the phone that day, she got so nervous that she fainted. She was hospitalized for a few days. As soon as she was discharged, she insisted on coming back to see you. It was my fault for not explaining things clearly in that call. She thought something terrible had happened to you. Once I clarified, she calmed down enough to leave the hospital. Lucas added, don't worry. We're all here now. This time we came back for you. Are you really sure? I looked at Roxana, smiling tenderly at me, then at father, strong and steady, then at Lucas, waiting seriously for my answer, and finally at mother, gazing at me with love and gentleness. I nodded firmly. I'm completely sure. I've made my decision. I want a divorce from Pedro. Lucas nodded. Good. These past days I've been drafting dozens of proposals to negotiate the divorce with the Law family. Our families have worked together for many years. I've crafted the most reasonable terms so we can separate without damaging that partnership. Sister, we can handle everything else for you. But with Pedro, it's best that you talk to him directly. Roxana hesitated, then took my hand and said, Isabel, I didn't tell you this before, but that dog cough, that young man from the Law family has been standing under your window every night. He stays there for hours, sometimes the whole night. The ground is covered in cigarette butts. And as far as I remember, he never used to smoke. I don't want to meddle, but if there's some misunderstanding between you, I think it would be better to clear it up. Even if you divorce, at least let it be clean, without grudges. Don't you think? Thank you, sister. I know what I must do. I think yes, there are still things I need to tell Pedro in person. I don't want him, for some unknown reason, to ever blame the Tran family again in the future. Chapter 8. A bustling commercial street, filled with people coming and going without end. Inside a well-known patisserie, I sat by the window, waiting for Pedro. "Here's your rose and lychee milk crepe and your perfume after the rain tea. Please enjoy." "Thank you." The waitress smiled sweetly before turning to serve another table. I watched her leave, radiating youth and vitality, and I thought, if I had to choose, perhaps I too would choose a girl like her, brimming with life just as Pedro once did. "Isabel." I turned at the sound of my name, and when I saw Pedro, I couldn't help but be surprised. Pedro had always been obsessively careful about his appearance. He couldn't tolerate a single wrinkle on his suit, and he had fired more than one housekeeper over it. Especially in my past life, once he was with Julia, he would even match his tie to perfection every day. But now his hair was messy, his beard unshaven for days, and his designer suit looked more like an old rag. He noticed my gaze fixed on his disheveled state, especially his clothes. Lowering his head, he looked at himself, muttered a curse under his breath, and his expression twisted with frustration. He reached out to take my hand, but I quickly pulled it back under the table, refusing to meet his eyes. All right, I won't touch you." "Don't be mad, may I sit?" he asked so carefully that for a moment, he seemed like the Pedro from my past life, that dark, terrifying man. "Isabel, I won't forgive a single Tran."
"Not even you."
"If you ever touch Julia again, I'll break your hand." "Isabel, you should have died with the chance." His cold, venomous words still echoed in my ears like poison. I shot up from my seat, hitting the corner of the table against my leg. Pain flared, and my eyes welled with tears. Pedro saw and grabbed my arm, crouching to massage my leg. I stepped back, leaving his hands suspended in midair. He didn't move, didn't raise his head, and I didn't look at his face. Forcing myself to suppress my emotions, I said, "I'm fine. Don't touch me." He slowly rose to his full height, towering over me, his expression unreadable. His shadow fell across me like a nightmare I could never wake from, and I trembled. "You're afraid of me," he said. "Since that morning, I've felt something different in you, Isabel."
"Why?"
Why? I had asked myself that same question countless times in my past life. Why had he been so merciless toward the Chans? I had asked until exhaustion dulled me, until despair numbed me, until I doubted my own worth. But what good would an answer do now? The Chan family was gone. Even if I knew the reason, would it bring them back?
No.
There was no point. So what good would it do for him to know now? I know I'm being extreme. The sins of Pedro from my past life shouldn't be borne by the Pedro of this one. But I can no longer love him as before. The cracks are too deep. Sooner or later, everything will end just as it once did. Him hating me with all his soul, and me destroyed. Pedro, there are people who are simply not meant to end up together. Like you and me. Let's divorce. It's best for us both. Let me go. I tried to walk past him, to take the path that now belonged to me. But suddenly Pedro seized my arm and pulled me into him. Not end up together?
Divorce?
I'm warning you. Isabel, since the day you married me, divorce ceased to be an option. He leaned close, and I could clearly see the red veins in his eyes. His clenched teeth looked ready to tear me apart. I admit I was afraid. In my past life, I had loved him madly, hated him fiercely, and in the end, feared him with every fiber of my being. I couldn't predict what madness this man might unleash now. In his eyes, I saw my own reflection. I saw fear etched into my face, and I froze, turning my head away. He noticed too, and his grip loosened slightly, though he didn't let me go. "Sir, don't be so aggressive with the lady. If you don't release her immediately, I'll call the police." That voice I turned to see the young waitress in her uniform, clutching Pedro's sleeve, demanding he let me go. And in that instant, Pedro froze completely, stunned. I turned my head slightly and saw her, the same girl who had brought me the cake and tea earlier. Julia. The most precious jewel in Pedro's life before. Chapter 9. Amid the bustle and prosperity of the city, their eyes met, as though they had traveled across time and space to find each other again. People who love always reunite. And I am nothing more than a pitiful clown, an insignificant obstacle standing between them. This absurd performance of three has finally reached its end. And I, the clown, must leave the stage. I chose this patisserie for our meeting precisely so Pedro would see the woman he truly loves. Because in my past life, I investigated everything and learned that it was here, in this very shop, that he met Julia, the waitress.
Do you see?
How strange fate can be. Pedro and I had known each other for over 20 years, yet I was defeated by Julia, whom he had known for barely more than 20 days. Ridiculous, isn't it? How ridiculous was I? So ridiculous that even after Pedro and Julia were together, I still dared to think I could tear them apart. I was so arrogant I brought a 50 million check to persuade Julia to leave Pedro. And all I earned was a slap in the face. She refused. Julia didn't need that money. She said not everyone loves money. That she only believed in love. That she only loved Pedro. Nothing else. That very night, Pedro found out everything. He looked at me with a coldness I had never seen before, his expression cruel, and told me Julia was pure, innocent, and that I must never again use such filthy methods to hurt her. It was the first time in so many years that Pedro spoke to me with such an icy voice. My chest ached as if filled with needles, but I understood. I knew Pedro. I knew nothing could be changed. He was truly, deeply in love with Julia. And now since I had returned him to the woman he loved most, perhaps that would ease the hatred he held against the Tran family. I closed my eyes for a moment, then looked at Pedro. Let go, you might hurt her. Pedro frowned, confused. What? I didn't want to keep talking. I freed my hand and gently pushed Julia toward his arms, raising both of mine to show that I hadn't even touched her. Please don't doubt me anymore. I would never harm her. Julia looked startled at my gesture, but when she lifted her eyes and saw the man protecting her with his own body, her cheeks flushed with a soft blush. I return her to you. I return everything to you. What we had is completely over. I swear to the heavens, I will never harm Julia. If I ever so much as scratch her, may I die the most miserable death, and may my soul never be reborn. Pedro froze. He gently moved Julia aside and stepped toward me. What's wrong with you? Do you hear yourself? Come home. I shook my head, stepping back. And then everything began to blur. Fragments of the past flashed before my eyes. I cover my face with my hands, forcing myself not to remember. It's over. It's all in the past. This time, I'm still in time. They're still here. I didn't arrive too late. This time I wasn't too late. Isabel. Everything spun. The world tilted around me, and I collapsed. Many people seemed to rush toward me. Maybe Pedro was among them. Chapter 10. Doctor. How is she? Has the patient recently experienced something severe like being persecuted, or perhaps a serious car accident? Lucas and Roxana exchanged startled glances, shock in their eyes. Roxana quickly answered, No. We've never heard of my sister going through anything like that. Her social circle is very simple, just family and trusted partners. An accident is even less likely. Lucas added firmly, Exactly. Dr. Ning, please explain clearly. What's happening to my little sister?
Dr.
Ning sighed, murmuring that it made no sense. We've run every possible test. Physically, she is perfectly healthy. There is no illness. The problem lies in her mind. She suffers from a severe psychological disorder. In clinical terms, post-traumatic stress disorder. This kind of trauma usually occurs when someone has experienced or witnessed extreme events, often involving real death, whether their own or others. You can look into it further, but in short, she is in a very serious state. On the verge of collapse. Highly prone to self-destruction. You're saying she might attempt suicide? Pedro's voice cut through the air. Roxana clenched her teeth in rage. Damn you! You still dare to stay here? Didn't I tell you to leave? Ever since she saw you, She's been like this. I should never have let my sister meet you. Enough, this is a hospital. Calm down. Lucas restrained Roxana and stepped toward Pedro. He looked at him with surprise. It hadn't even been a month since he'd last seen him, yet Pedro was utterly unrecognizable. You heard the doctor. Whatever the cause, the most important thing now is treatment. Desperate, Pedro clutched the doctor's coat. Yes, save her first, doctor, I beg you. Whatever it takes, no matter the cost, please save Isabel. He fell to his knees. Roxana had never seen Pedro beg anyone like this. She turned her head away, unable to watch. Lucas sighed and helped him up.
Dr.
Ning is a specialist. Let him speak and listen calmly. The doctor continued. I understand your feelings. At this moment, the best course is a combination of medication and hypnosis therapy. And please avoid exposing the patient to anyone or anything that may trigger her further. She must not endure more shocks. Hypnosis isn't 100% effective, but it can help calm her. The most important thing is for her family to stay close, to watch what she says and does. Let her do what she wants. Don't restrict her. I opened my eyes to see Roxana sitting beside me, holding a cup of floral tea. When she saw me awake, she smiled softly and offered it to me. You woke up just in time. I just made this.
Try it.
I added some new petals this time. Guess which ones. If you're right, there's a prize. I took a sip. It was delicious. And this is for you.
She handed me something.
It was a divorce agreement. Pedro had already signed it. I smiled. The heaviest weight on my heart had finally fallen away. I didn't know why, but I felt incredibly light. Sister, I want to study again. Roxana looked surprised for a moment, then picked up a comb and began braiding my hair. Of course. Which university would you like? I'll help you. Sister, I want to rely on my own merits. There's no need to pay or pull strings. I've grown. Believe me, one day I'll be your right hand. As she wove a simple braid like the ones we used to make as children, she whispered, All right. I promise. Don't be afraid. Your sister will always be behind you. If Isabel wants the moon, her sister will bring it down. From that day on, Pedro vanished completely from my life. Marriage, love, all of it no longer concerned me. My days were spent in the library or in classes with the tutors Roxana had found for me. I had married Pedro while I was still in university, and not long after graduation we were already divorced. What a story. Fortunately, I had always been a good student, so it didn't take me long to pick up where I left off. That autumn, I entered Wharton without difficulty and chose to study finance. On the day of my departure, father, mother, Roxana, and Lucas came to see me off. Lucas and Roxana wanted to accompany me all the way to the university, but I refused. The company needed them. Mother's health was fragile, and father was already worn out with work and caring for her. I couldn't allow him to exhaust himself further. Roxana hugged me tightly. My brilliant little sister, I'm so proud of you, but it's so hard to let you go. Take care of yourself, all right? As soon as we're freer, we'll come to see you. Don't worry about anything, we'll handle it all. Then Mother embraced me. Like when I was a child, she patted my back and rocked me gently, though now I was taller than her. She could no longer carry me as she once did. My little girl has grown up, leaving home, leaving her roots to fly far away. As your mother, I wish with all my heart for you to have a bright future. But it hurts to see you go. She wiped her tears. Perhaps this is how all parents feel. You won't understand until you have children yourself. Having a child means having a bond for life. Wherever you go, a part of my heart goes with you. You, your brother, your sister, you are all my eternal worries. My beloved little girl, the one I have held in my arms so many days and nights, is now a woman. Forgive me if I talk too much, it's just that letting you go is so hard. My princess is going so far away. I am happy for you, but also so very sad. I patted her back as she once did for me and whispered comfortingly, Mother, believe me. In a few years I'll come back. And when I return, I won't leave again. Even if you want to chase me out, I'll stay. I'll stay with you forever. Mother cried endlessly, nodding again and again. Father checked his watch. It's almost time. Go and study in peace. We'll be waiting at home. Lucas received a call, and his expression tightened. He seemed as if he wanted to tell me something, but held back. Since he said nothing, I didn't ask. It was time to board. I looked at each of them, then turned and walked away without looking back. The plane soared high. Outside, the sky was blue, the clouds like soft cotton. Pedro, little by little, I am saying goodbye to the horrors of my past life. When I see you again, perhaps by then I will have forgiven you.
Goodbye.
Chapter 11. After more than a year at Wharton, Roxana came to visit me. I wasn't surprised by her visit. What surprised me was the person she brought with her, Pedro's mother, Serafina Law. Though she shared the same surname, she had no blood ties to the Law family. It was only coincidence. This time, Mrs. Law came for 2 reasons: to apologize for her son and to speak with me. She had watched me grow up, always treated me like a daughter. Pedro had never told her about the divorce. Only now did she learn the truth. Isabel, I came for 2 reasons. First, I want to apologize. I failed to raise Pedro properly, and he hurt you. And I also heard certain things from your sister. Mrs. Law paused before continuing. The day he left the country, his father and I locked him at home. We didn't want him to go after you. But he escaped. And then he had an accident. They managed to save his life, but he lost his legs. Now he's in a wheelchair. I turned to my sister. Her lips were pressed tight, her gaze conflicted. Roxana spoke. The day you left, that call Lucas received it was from the hospital. Pedro had listed your number as his emergency contact. They said that at the time of the accident, he wouldn't stop calling you. Don't feel guilty. He's an adult. He's responsible for his own choices. No one blames you. Mrs. Law embraced me. Pedro is like this now. At least he's alive. That's enough. Isabel, live well. What we did to you was unfair. If you ever need anything, you can tell your family, or even us. Don't keep it bottled up inside. I won't stay long. Since the accident, Pedro has changed a lot. I don't even know what he's thinking anymore. She spoke with me at length. The next day, Roxana accompanied her to the airport. Later, Roxana told me more about Pedro. Since waking up, he had become somber, withdrawn. No one knew what went through his mind. Even his parents feared him. After recovering, he never went home again. He moved into the company headquarters. And then he began a purge within Law Corp. Many executives were removed. Roxana told me in a hushed tone that a female university student had been pestering him endlessly. But then, mysteriously, she was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. After hearing that, I couldn't help but wonder if Pedro, like me, remembered his past life. The purge of Law Corp was something he had done before. It happened right after crushing the Tran family. While destroying us, he had uncovered a network of corruption within his own company. But that student, could it have been Julia?
No.
I laughed bitterly. How could it be? In the past life, Pedro was cruel, obsessive not only with the Trans, but with every one of his enemies. He was relentless, almost demonic in his hatred. He was merciless to all except Julia. To her, he was always tender. No, it couldn't be Julia. I was certain. After Roxana left, my life returned to my studies. Over the next few years, Roxana and Lucas visited me often. My parents did too until I stopped allowing it. Mother's health was too fragile. Each time Roxana and Lucas came, they brought more news of Pedro. At first, it shook me, but in time it didn't. That student, the one sent to the psychiatric hospital, was Julia. I didn't understand what Pedro was planning. In the past life, he had loved her to madness, and now perhaps love was always something volatile. That talk of eternal love, maybe it was only ever a pretty phrase meant for decoration. Chapter 12. The day I returned home, not only was my entire family there, but Pedro's parents had also come. In these 4 years, Roxana had become even more radiant and beautiful, while Lucas was already managing the company completely. Approaching 30, Lucas had grown more mature and steady, though his true nature always showed the moment he opened his mouth. Father had retired and now devoted himself to caring for Mother with great attention. Roxana looked at me with joy. My Isabel is more beautiful than ever. Is this the power of knowledge? She teased. I think I should take a course too. Mother hadn't changed much. Father had taken such good care of her that she looked the same as always. My precious girl, I'm so happy you've come back home. Mother, this time I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying with you. Even if you try to send me away, I won't go. I'll stay forever. Mother smiled through tears, her face glowing, and then seemed to remember something. Look, these are Aunt Law and Uncle Law. They came especially to see you when they heard you were returning. No matter how Pedro had treated me, I had always deeply respected Mr. and Mrs.
Law.
In my past life, they had tried everything to stop Pedro. They were even willing to go against him. It was me who convinced them not to. Such good people, they didn't deserve to meet a tragic end like we had. All I wished for now was that everyone around me could live peacefully, year after year, without absence. That was my only desire. Aunt, Uncle, it's been so long. Mrs. Law answered several times with a trembling voice. Good child, it was our family that failed to cherish you. All I want is for you to be happy now. She wiped away her tears. I noticed her hair was streaked with gray. Mr. Law looked much the same, yet compared to my parents who were there, he seemed far older. They handed me red envelopes stuffed with gifts chosen with care, still treating me with the same love as when I was a child. After dinner, they said goodbye. When they got into the car that had come to pick them up, the dark windows gave me the eerie sense that someone was watching from within. But they didn't linger, urging us back inside before leaving. I didn't dwell on it. After resting a few days upon returning to the country, I began taking part in managing the company. Roxana had never wanted this role. She only took it because she had no choice. Once I joined, she trained me for a while, and then, relieved, she handed everything over. She told me excitedly that she had long dreamed of leaving that golden cage, that her heart belonged to travel and adventure. The very next day, she had her suitcases ready. It was clear she had been yearning for this for a long time. In my past life, by this time, Roxana no longer existed. But now, here she was, humming a tune I didn't know, happily tying her shoelaces. I watched her for a moment, then stepped forward to adjust her hat. Take care out there. And promise me you'll call me every day. Roxana kissed my cheek and hugged me tightly. Yes, little sister. You're acting like the older one now. Before, it had always been Roxana seeing me off at the airport. This time, it was me who had to say goodbye to her. After her departure, I devoted myself fully to work. Lucas, though carefree in daily life, was extremely strict in business. I often saw him harshly reprimanding employees for mistakes. And yet, everyone respected and admired him. Perhaps because, while strict, he was fair. Those who did well were rewarded with generous salaries, and those who corrected their mistakes received red envelopes of bonuses. It was amusing to watch employees shift from terror to euphoria with just a single envelope. I didn't fully understand his methods, but they worked. Soon, Lucas began assigning my team the most important contracts. He had complete confidence in me. The Tran family prospered more and more. But not long after, an assistant from my team informed me that one of our longtime partners wanted to renegotiate a contract. The representative insisted the project leader had to attend personally. I reviewed the file. It was a young company with strong potential. I told my assistant I would handle it myself. The next morning, I arrived early. The receptionist greeted me warmly and led me to a meeting room. The person in charge will be here shortly. The room was minimalist, decorated only in black and white. They served me floral tea before leaving me alone. Its delicate aroma was just to my liking. Holding the cup, I walked to the window. I already knew who had come. It's been a long time, Isabel. A deep, shadowed voice sounded behind me. Pedro. He laughed. A laugh that seemed to come from hell itself. I couldn't stop the chill that ran through me. This Pedro, he was the Pedro from my past life. Chapter 13. You came just to tell me that? I drew a deep breath, trying to hide my fear. I turned. Pedro was indeed in a wheelchair, a blanket draped over his legs. Half of his body was cloaked in shadow. His expression burned with dangerous intensity. When he finally raised his head to look at me, his eyes were void of all emotion.
He didn't speak.
He just stared. Long enough that the tea I'd been served had long grown cold, yet still he said nothing. At last, I gave up. I couldn't compete with his patience. What is it you want to say? If you have nothing, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. If it were Pedro from this life, an apology would make sense. But the obsessive, twisted Pedro from the past life, that man would never apologize, not even if his legs were broken. I set the cup down on the table. Words like, "I'm sorry, go tell them to the Isabel of the past life." I walked past him, intending to open the meeting room door. But suddenly, a brutal force yanked me back. I lost my balance and fell against him, his breath far too close, suffocating me. I leapt up at once and slapped him hard across the face. The blow split his lip, blood glistening at the corner of his mouth. Pedro ran his tongue over the cut. Feel better? If it's not enough, you can keep going. You're insane. A sick, twisted psychopath. I hurled every insult I could think of, trembling with rage, tears filling my eyes. I grabbed him by the collar. I asked you thousands of times, why did you destroy the Tran family? Did you ever answer? Did you ever care? You pushed us into the abyss again and again. And now you come to me with this? What for? I'm not like you, Pedro. I'm not so cruel. I can't fight you, but I can walk away. Wasn't one lifetime enough for you to destroy us? Do you want to do it again in this one? Listen carefully, I will never give you that chance. If you want to hurt my family, start by killing me. Because if you don't, I swear one day, I'll end you myself. Pedro said nothing. He just looked at me. Until I had raged myself empty, until exhaustion calmed me. I closed my eyes. Pedro as a boy. Pedro as a teenager. Pedro as a man. We had lived too many years together. From the perfect couple everyone envied to enemies bound by death. How ironic. How tragic. Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. I sank to the ground, covering my face, sobbing bitterly. I had never escaped the shadow of my past life. No matter how I tried, in the end, I still collapsed before Pedro. I won't harm the Tran family. Or you. His trembling hand rested on my shoulder. I don't believe you. After that meeting, I began seeing him everywhere, at conferences, at business events, and most recently, at my mother's birthday celebration. His presence silenced the entire room. By then, everyone in the business world knew Pedro. His reputation struck fear even into the most seasoned veterans. Mr. and Mrs. Law tried to ease the tension with polite words. Lucas and Roxana immediately placed themselves in front of me, like we were children again playing the game of the eagle and the chicks. Pedro was always the eagle, and I was never the chick. After so many encounters, I began to feel that Pedro was pitiful. Everyone feared him, even his parents. No one dared get close. No one spoke to him. Wherever he was, he always drank alone in the shadows.
But no.
I didn't pity him. Over time, Lucas told me that Law Corp had begun sending many important contracts to our company. The Tran family had risen into the top 100 global enterprises. Whenever I crossed paths with Pedro, he said nothing. He only watched me from a distance. Until I left. Little by little, Tran Corp grew stronger, and I stopped paying attention to him. Until one day, I heard the news of his death. Pedro was dead. The cause was unclear. Some said cancer. Others whispered suicide. In life, everyone had feared him. In death, his story as a young business prodigy turned into legend. I did not attend his funeral. When he died, Mr. and Mrs. Law were still alive. My parents were still healthy. I didn't want to see them weep for their son. Lucas, Roxana, and my parents went. I stayed home alone, watching the New Year's fireworks. Pedro had the misfortune of dying on New Year's Eve. I poured myself a glass of red wine. Staring out the window at the sky lit with color, I didn't know if I was toasting to someone or to no one at all. Perhaps I was a little drunk. I clinked my glass against the window pane and lifted my gaze to the year's most dazzling fireworks. Pedro, we will never see each other again. Not in this life, not in the next.